We all know vitamin C as the thing our parents told us to take when we caught a cold. But believe it or not, this little nutrient once decided the fate of entire ships. Sailors were crossing oceans, discovering new lands and building empires. But a strange illness was taking them down one by one. The cure wasn't a powerful medicine or a complicated invention. It was hiding inside a simple sour fruit. And the story behind it is crazier than you might think. For most of human history, nobody had ever heard the words vitamin C. Doctors couldn't test for it because nobody even knew vitamins existed. In fact, people had no idea that tiny nutrients hidden inside food were quietly keeping them alive every single day. So whenever someone became sick, people came up with whatever explanation made sense at the time. Some blamed bad air, others blamed dirty water. Many believed diseases were caused by curses, evil spirits, changing weather, or an imbalance inside the body. If sailors became ill during a voyage, the captain usually blamed exhaustion, spoiled food, or simply the hardships of life at sea. The real reason never crossed anyone's mind. The strange thing is that this mystery barely existed in ancient times. Back then, ships rarely wandered far from the coastline. They stopped at ports every few days to collect fresh water, buy food, and rest. Sailors regularly ate fresh fruits, vegetables, herbs, and leafy greens. They had no idea those ordinary foods were secretly protecting them from a deadly disease. Then everything changed. By the late 1400s, Europe had entered what we now call the Age of Exploration. Every kingdom wanted the same thing: spices. It sounds funny today, but spices like pepper, cinnamon, cloves, and nutmeg were worth a fortune. They preserved food, improved flavor, and were considered luxury items. Controlling the spice trade meant becoming incredibly rich, so explorers started chasing new sea routes. Instead of sailing for a few weeks, explorers were now crossing entire oceans. Some voyages lasted 6 months or even longer. And that created a problem nobody knew existed. How do you feed hundreds of sailors when you're trapped in the middle of the ocean for half a year? Remember, this was long before refrigerators, freezers, canned food, or even simple food packaging. Fresh fruit spoiled within days. Vegetables turned into mush. Milk became sour almost overnight. Fresh meat quickly became dangerous. So ships were packed with foods that could survive the journey. Huge wooden barrels were filled with salted beef, salted pork, dried peas, oatmeal, cheese, hard biscuits so tough they sometimes had to be smashed with a hammer before eating, and barrels of beer because drinking water often became unsafe after weeks at sea. The menu kept everyone alive, or at least everyone thought it did. For the first month or two, life seemed perfectly normal. Sailors climbed towering masts, pulled heavy ropes, repaired sails, and worked from sunrise until long after sunset. Then something strange began to happen. One sailor complained that he was always tired. Another complained that his legs hurt. Soon, someone's gums started bleeding. Then teeth became loose. Cuts refused to heal, and bruises appeared without any injury. The most frightening part was that old scars sometimes opened again because the body could no longer repair itself. As the weeks passed, the disease became much worse. Many sailors could no longer walk. Their legs swelled, their joints ached, and dark purple patches appeared under their skin as tiny blood vessels burst. Some became so weak they stayed in their hammocks until they died. The illness had a name: scurvy. Today we know exactly what caused it. Vitamin C helps the body make collagen, a protein that acts like the glue holding your body together. It keeps your skin, gums, blood vessels, bones, and muscles strong. Without enough vitamin C, your body slowly loses the ability to repair itself. Blood vessels become weak, wounds stop healing, gums break down, and the whole body starts falling apart. The scary part is that this doesn't happen overnight. Your body stores some vitamin C, so it can survive for about 2 or 3 months before the first symptoms appear. By the time someone notices something is wrong, the damage has already started. Back then, sailors knew none of this. To them, scurvy was a mysterious disease that seemed to appear out of nowhere. It soon became one of the biggest killers in the history of sailing. Historians estimate that between the 1500s and early 1800s, scurvy may have killed more than 2 million sailors. Think about that for a second. More people died from a missing vitamin than from many famous wars. One of the most famous examples happened during the voyage of the Portuguese explorer Vasco da Gama. In 1497, he left Portugal with a bold mission to sail around Africa and find a sea route to India. It was one of the most ambitious voyages anyone had ever attempted. The journey changed world trade forever, but it came at a terrible cost. Many members of his crew developed scurvy before reaching their destination. Some became so weak they couldn't climb ropes or even walk across the deck. Several died before they finally reached land. Christopher Columbus also faced similar problems during his later voyages across the Atlantic. As ships stayed at sea longer, scurvy became almost unavoidable. Then came one of history's most famous expeditions. In 1519, Ferdinand Magellan set out to sail around the world. Although Magellan himself was killed during the journey, one of his ships eventually completed the trip, proving that a ship really could circle the entire planet. It was an incredible achievement, but also a heartbreaking one. Around 270 men left Spain. Only 18 made it back home. Many died from hunger, violence, and disease, but scurvy claimed a huge number of lives. Sailors described gums that became so swollen they couldn't even close their mouths properly. Eating was torture. Some couldn't even chew the hard ship biscuits that were supposed to keep them alive. By the 1700s, scurvy had become a serious military problem. Britain depended on its navy to protect trade routes, fight wars, and support its growing empire. But ships were useless without healthy crews, and scurvy often killed more sailors than enemy battles. This is where a Scottish naval surgeon named James Lind entered the story. In 1747, while serving aboard HMS Salisbury, Lind noticed that many sailors had the same disease. Instead of relying on old beliefs, he decided to test different treatments in what is now considered one of the world's first controlled clinical trials. He selected 12 sailors with scurvy, gave them all the same daily meals, and divided them into pairs. Each pair received a different treatment. Some drank cider, others vinegar or seawater, while another group received herbal medicines. Only one pair was given oranges and lemons. Within days, the sailors eating citrus fruits recovered quickly. One became healthy enough to return to work, while the others showed little or no improvement. Lind published his findings in 1753, but most doctors ignored them. Many believed the results were just luck. On top of that, fresh lemons spoiled quickly and were expensive to store on long voyages. So nothing changed. For decades, thousands more sailors died from a disease that already had a cure. Everything changed thanks to Sir Gilbert Blane. He collected health records from naval ships and proved that sailors given citrus juice became sick far less often. This time, the evidence was too strong to ignore. Finally, in 1795, the British Royal Navy officially ordered every sailor to receive a daily ration of lemon juice. The results were almost immediate. Scurvy nearly disappeared from British warships. Healthy crews could stay at sea for months, giving Britain a major advantage over rival navies during the Napoleonic Wars. Some historians even believe that something as simple as lemons helped Britain become the world's greatest naval power. Over time, Britain switched from Mediterranean lemons to limes imported from Caribbean colonies because they were cheaper and easier to obtain. Sailors mixed the juice into their daily drinks, and before long, other nations began calling British sailors limes. The nickname has survived ever since. Even though scurvy had been defeated, nobody fully understood why citrus fruits worked. That answer finally came in the early 1900s, when scientists discovered that food contains tiny nutrients called vitamins. In the late 1920s and early 1930s, Hungarian scientist Albert Szent-Györgyi isolated vitamin C, also known as ascorbic acid. Researchers soon proved it was the missing nutrient that prevented scurvy, solving a mystery that had puzzled the world for centuries. Szent-Györgyi received the Nobel Prize in 1937 for his groundbreaking work. Today, scurvy is rare because fresh fruits and vegetables are widely available. Vitamin C is found in oranges, lemons, limes, strawberries, kiwis, guavas, papayas, tomatoes, broccoli, and bell peppers. Surprisingly, one of the richest natural sources isn't citrus at all, it's amla, or Indian gooseberry, which contains even more vitamin C than an orange. Modern ships carry refrigerated food and fresh supplies, so sailors can spend months at sea without worrying about the disease that once claimed millions of lives. And that's the incredible story of how one simple vitamin and a handful of sour fruits ended one of the deadliest diseases in naval history. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next story from history.